There are few Christians left in Scandinavia. Today, a mere 2.4% of Danes attend any sort of regular church service. And belief in God continues to decline, making Scandinavia one of the most secular places in our world today. Yet there are some who are deciding to take another path. I'm here to meet several young families putting Christianity and intentional bonds of community at the center of their lives, even as the rest of their society continues to move in the other direction. I want to find out what the future holds for this foothold of Christianity here in Northern Europe, and how we got to this state to begin with.
Well, my name is Michael, and we are here on our farm in rural Denmark. Yeah, it is a bit surprising that we ended up here. How it feels to be a Bible-believing Christian in Denmark today? Well, I don't think, it does not feel like we are at the forefront of some breakthrough, or we are like the front line of this new beachhead, as C.S. Lewis tried to describe Christianity and the kingdom in Mere Christianity. Nowadays, it more so feels like we are fighting a losing retreat. I grew up in Copenhagen as a very average millennial zoomer. So I really didn't spend a lot of time outdoors. When I was 17, I fell in love with this beautiful girl, and she lived on an apple orchard in rural Denmark. And I think as much as I fell in love with her, I likewise fell in love with that whole way of living. It really kindled something in me.
Waking up in the morning, I get up feeling cool while others are mourning. Early to rise and always late to sleep. The world keeps on spinning and I run with it deep. It is just another summer's day where everything seems to be going my way.
Yes, I'll start. Shoo. We moved here to Denmark from Iceland 3 years ago because we wanted to find a nice Christian community that we could not find in our home country. My name is Kierkegaard Andersen.
My name is Jóhanna Rut Ingvarsdóttir.
And I am also half Danish. That's why we have some roots here. That's why we moved here.
Well, I am 100% Icelandic.
Purebred.
I can track my blood all the way to Eric the Red. So.
Yes, I can also track my blood all the way to Ingólfur Arnarsson, but okay, yes. Very nice.
At least we're not inbred then.
So Iceland is a country that has changed very rapidly in a very short period of time. So in a 10-year span, Iceland completely took a 180. It used to be a very local, comfy place, not many people, but now it's very crowded. The whole infrastructure is falling down, and Iceland is essentially a dead island. There's no future, there's no church, no community. The whole fabric of Icelandic society has been overturned by leftist politics, if you want to go that route. So a lot of promotion of homosexuality, a lot of degeneracy. We celebrate gay pride more than we celebrate our own Independence Day. So it's sort of there's no hope and future for kids because Iceland is very it goes to extremes. The government, so to speak, is very much has its fingers in your kids and in your own personal opinions in a way that's very drastic and very dangerous.
You cannot have a wrong opinion on things and you get publicly executed. And it's just, it's the end of your career, can be anything, and it's just, so yeah, you cannot go against anything, and except unless you're able to lose everything you have, all your.
Yeah, if you're gonna make a stance against the government, so to speak, or if you wanna hold on to Christian values, you wanna raise your kids like what you deem to be good.
You have to be ready to lose everything you
yeah,
have.
you have to sort of go against the whole system.
Yes.
And that's the problem with Iceland. We also have like
To be a total outcast.
we also have like a huge housing crisis. Very hard to get a house. Very hard to rent. Hard to buy.
Early 19th century Copenhagen was a city that believed it had solved the great questions. The fierce, mythic world of the Norse had long been baptized, and the old values and instincts of a warrior culture, of knights and raiders, had been gradually domesticated into a polite and bureaucratic system of life. In those years, a keen-eyed young man named Søren Kierkegaard noticed something off about the way people spoke about and lived out the Christian faith. The people around him were celebrating a life of faith that, to his observations, had lost its sincerity and its potency. He noticed that the Danes had come to believe that the heavenly kingdom of God was, in a tame and comfortable way, already sufficiently reflected in their own kingdoms of Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. Kierkegaard believed that the Danish state church had become a bureaucratic institution where everyone was a Christian by virtue of their birth and social standing. This was not the Christianity he read about in the scriptures. It was not the radical and deeply personal faith that demanded personal sacrifice for love of God and fellow man. To save his society from this quiet spiritual death, Kierkegaard launched a public intellectual war on the hypocrisy of Danish comfortable civil society, publishing a series of fiery pamphlets called The Moment. At the same time, 300 miles to the south, in the city of Dresden, the composer Richard Wagner was profoundly dissatisfied with the direction of culture and life.
Det er det mystiske og sådan noget. Erik, det der, de er giftige for hende, så er du lidt sundt at flytte dem.
We both turned 30 this year, so we're having a big party where we want to celebrate and invite our friends and family. And it's also 10 years since we moved here, so we have fun and games and so on. A lot of play and children and so on.
But to have such a communal feast really also requires and presupposes a community, because I wouldn't be able to do it without having a lot of friends help me out and help to put it up. So just the setup for the party itself leans into the purpose of it, namely to create community, to create comradeship, and the hard work, putting it all up, really help to bring people together for this moment of celebration and to celebrate life and all the riches of it. We will be around 30 adults and 20 children who will run around, play together to celebrate life in such idyllic settings. Really is what builds community.
Yeah, there's a lot of obstacles for raising the kids as a Christian in Denmark, I think. I mean, we have a lot of cultural emphasis on many things that are not very Christian. So I think the parents kind of have to fight a tough battle if they want to keep their children's life intentionally Christian. I reckon that most Christian parents don't do that, and because they believe that they have to figure these things out for themselves, living in the society that they live in. Personally, I believe that that is dangerous gambling with your children. I'm Mikkel. I'm 26 years old. I'm married, and my wife and I just celebrated our 5th years as a married couple. We have 2 children as for now. Who knows? I'm a mathematician by education. I work in cancer research as a kind of a biostatistician, and I do that from home. So I recently moved. I relocated my family to Lolland to get closer to more similar-minded families. So this is kind of where the magic happens. I work from home with my statistics and stuff. Here I also have, as you can see, my library and my books. I have here a nice 6-volume complete edition of The Great War. It's a little new thing that I'm diving into the Warhammer books. I'm currently reading one that's downstairs about the Space Wolves. So they are kind of the Germanic Viking Space Marines. So that's obvious that I have to start with that one, I suppose.
The same age as Soren Kierkegaard, both born in 1813. Richard Wagner sought to rediscover the old Germanic gods and heroes in his operas, to restore awe and mythic grandeur to a world that had become petty and stagnant. He sought to give life force back to the Germanic spirit by reconnecting it to its foundational stories. Around this time, a whole generation of writers arose out of a response to a world growing increasingly mechanistic, bureaucratic, and soulless, as diverse in stance as Richard Wagner, Friedrich Nietzsche, William Morris, and Alfred Lord Tennyson, who each believed that only by re-engaging with the religious and mythic foundations of their cultures, and by rejecting the domesticated 19th century form of Christian life, could Europe ultimately be saved from its quiet spiritual death. All of this, too, was a search for authenticity, for human passion and instinct, for a distinct ethos and spirit and mythology, against the dehumanizing force of a world grown mechanistic and lifeless. More than merely a return to some rosy idealized past, Wagner reimagined the old stories as a new communal art experience, a new total art form, a Gesamtkunstwerk, transforming the opera house into a communal space where the everyday German people, both rich and poor, could partake in these sacred stories and sagas together.
The harvest is really good this year, Matthew. Oh, this is a good one. Boom, 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 boom.
We have a lot of people who say, wow, we wish we could do the same, but we can't do that because we need 2 incomes. There's also some people who, when we tell them that we're homeschooling, then they'll just be very concerned on behalf of the children, because it's very uncommon in Denmark to homeschool. But the rest of it, pretty much, I think people are very positive about it, like living in the countryside and so on, saying, that's just the perfect childhood, which we can't agree more.
Det er en unge, den er meget lille.
Ej, den er hurtig.
I think it's kind of mixed. You get a knee-jerk reaction from quite a large group of people who will just parrot, the sentiment of the culture. Oh, it's old-fashioned. Isn't it bad for the children to just be alone and not go to school? And it's an unhealthy environment, and it's bad for the mother. She needs to go out and work and have a career and have money and freedom, and it's kind of suppressing her, availability to express herself and define herself. But then, as soon as you just offer some positive, mild, and polite pushback, then a lot of the people, even if they don't end up agreeing with us, still think it's probably not that bad, because for all those who actually meet our kids, they're all very surprised at how well behaved they are, how intelligent they are, how much they know and have learned just from being at home, and also how good their social skills are, surprisingly, because of course the kids don't just stay on the farm the whole day. They go out, they have friends, they go to Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, they do a lot of things. And then for another very large, maybe not the majority, but close to half of people, they really think it's just a dream. In Danish we have this expression called modern kork, which kind of encapsulates a bit akin to how British people might talk about merry old England, like this idyllic past where, you know, people are just at home, living in the beautiful countryside, not so busy and so on. And we kind of do that. I mean, that's pretty much here, and a lot of people can see that. And it's a trade-off. We don't have a lot of money, for example, but we have a lot of freedom. We have a lot of independence, and we are able to control our days and habits to a degree that is impossible for most people. So that is really true riches. Yeah, so it's a combine harvester. It's a very old model made in Denmark in the 50s. You need to like grease all the joints. My field is so small, so I only do it once a year, pretty much. Grease it all up well, be good. So it's safe for winter storage. This might be something like people aren't aware. You have to do things like this. Normally, like this, yeah, atypical day. Typical day is just to wake up and greet the deer, sing with the birds, and make passionate love with your wife who gives birth to your 16th child in a summer dress.
And how did you learn all this?
Yeah, I can show you. I actually have a like farming manual from back in the day. And in my office, I have a lot of like really old books about farming and so on.
Did you grow up doing this?
No.
So this is all relearned?
Yes.
So you just go on, what's the website where you buy tractors and
Oh,
threshing?
in Denmark we have different ones. Something like one of the big ones is called Den Blå Avis, like the blue paper. Facebook Marketplace is also good.
Rephrase the question. Can you repeat it?
Andre never talks to pagan people, so he hasn't.
Ég get sagt það. Þú ert að, það eru hérna þessir, ok, ég þarf að fara á skotinu.
I'm just interrupting the interview.
Þú er að fara. Þú er klar.
No, it's easy time.
So, a lot of people are like searching for higher meaning.
Ísi, ekki fucking rústa
Getur þú strulla hann í burtu, hann er drept þig. Can we get a footage of me killing him?
Can I say one thing? Because our oldest son, when he was in kindergarten in Iceland, there was a book in his Holf.
He had to take a book with him home.
Okay, yeah, there was a book in his shelf when I picked him up, and it was there was a picture of like penises and
homosexuals like
yeah, and telling and that text saying, you know, it's okay to have a mom, and it's totally normal to have a dad, and some people love to fart and some people like to, you know, it was just like a very like childish, but as a grown up, you know, it's dirty. It's dirty, and it's kinky, and it was.
You're teaching kids about sexuality, which you shouldn't be doing, and it shouldn't be the.
Yeah, that's obvious. But I talked to the principal of the kindergarten because I was very angry. And I said, like, why didn't you ask us for permission to teach this? Because I never approved of this. And she was like, oh yeah, I totally agree with you, but maybe I'm just being old school, and maybe we are just being too old school, but I do agree with you. And it's like, so yeah, it is like, some people do agree that it's disgusting and it's sodomite, it's so degenerated that it's absurd. But you kind of convince yourself that it's, you know, maybe I don't get it because I'm this old, you know, maybe it's just what the young people like to do. So yeah, it's just kind of a, I don't see it, I don't hear it, nobody does anything, and it really, really makes me so angry, yeah. That's why I really accepted the fact to move here, else I would never leave Iceland. It's my country. For the future of my sons, it was this. No bueno.
No bueno.
As a kid growing up, I clearly recall that Christianity meant something different to me than it did compared to the other kids around, even the other ones who were also raised as Christians. I simply don't believe that it is the Christian faith that is the foundation of the Danish state church. I think it's much more of a political organ. For starters, just look at the priesthood. It is very common for priests to publicly announce that they don't believe. They think it's cultural heritage and nothing more, that it's good stories, good for morale. They don't believe the story. They don't believe in Christ. They don't believe in Christianity. They just believe that there are some good rules that are fine to follow. I mean that's the kind of statements that you can get from, not all of course, but a lot of Danish priests. There has come a lot of changes, anything from like female pastors to the wedding of homosexuals, which have been introduced to the church, not based on theological arguments, not based on the Bible, not based on Christianity, but based of arguments tendering to the spirit of the age, for inclusivity, for tolerance, for good values in general, is something that kind of demonstrates that their highest ideal is not the faith, it's not the Bible, it's not the Christianity, but rather they're choosing to form Christianity to fit with the world of their own, of the time, so to say. How the ordinary Dane conceives of Christianity, I think that the main point that I would emphasize here is simply a lack of knowledge. Most people know absolutely nothing about theological aspects of Christianity. They actually know no content of the faith. They have this very, very, very superficial, oh, God is great, God is love, and something about Jesus dying for our sins. Most Christians couldn't even explain the fact that we have a triune God. They wouldn't be able to explain that in any meaningful way, at least. They would have no knowledge of the fact that Jesus is in fact God and has always existed, even before creation, right?
So I lived in Denmark 2001, and I can say honestly that Denmark hasn't altered much. As in, the fabric of the society is the same, even though it has escalated. So more like Muslims, more immigrants, but it's still sort of like the same flair, so to speak, or the same taste as it was 2001. But Iceland flipped. So I remember when I was young in Iceland, you could go outside in nature and there was no one. Now it's like filled with tourists. So a lot of spots that were sort of like isolated, beautiful.
Uncontaminated.
Uncontaminated, yes, have been contaminated sadly by like a lot of tourists and a lot of traffic. And this has also gone like when I was a kid, I knew like maybe one immigrant in my school. Maybe one that was like half Philippines or like half Vietnamese.
Maybe
but
go to the next question.
No. So like half Vietnamese or something. But now, if you go to the same school, you would probably find like 50% immigrants.
Yeah.
And that happened in the span of like maybe 15 years. So it's sort of extreme change, an extreme hostile environment to us, because all the churches in Iceland are just like preaching homosexuality and they go against the Bible. And our bishop doesn't believe that the devil is real. She doesn't believe, it's a woman by the way, she doesn't believe in hell, she doesn't believe in God really.
She's like the typical MILF, how she looks.
Yeah, so it's sort of like you got this woman that's like divorced or something, I'm guessing, a bishop, doesn't believe in anything. So it's sort of like what's left in Iceland, so to speak. And there's like maybe one good church. What's the name? Yelk, right?
Zacharias, Zacharias.
Yeah,
Zacharias is the
that's
priest
maybe
there.
the only good church.
Yes, and he is not even Icelandic, he is from Norway.
And how many members?
Er það good? What?
Í
alvöru?
How many members do you have, Kati? 30. So the best church in Iceland has like 30 members.
And how many children? 0. Oh,
4 children, okay.
That's good.
That's good, but like you can see the situation is dire when you have like 4 kids.
30,
yeah, 30
you have to
the only good church, I would maybe argue.
It has to be children in church.
Yeah.
I really hope that we can build some community here. That's why I also moved to Lolland. I believe we can build some community here. If not in an official way, then at least, you know, we have a bunch of families nearby that we can rely on and who are of a similar mind, and where the wives can get together, the children can get together. I think we have a very good opportunity for that, and I really hope I really hope for that for the future.
I went to the US as an au pair, and when I was over there, I started having this weird drawing towards the Sunday school where the children I worked with were going every Sunday. And when I went past the church, I felt this weird drawing towards the church. And this sensation just kept growing in me. And that one night I tried praying for the first time in my life. And I had this weird born again experience where from one moment to the other, I believed that there was a God. When I became a Christian, a lot of things changed. It was like the world looked different suddenly, but it was all the same, but somehow totally different anyway. And so I came home from the US shortly after, and we're so happy that we could live together as Christians, and we just already there we were talking about our future and what should our children be named and so on.
But the way Katrine came to faith, especially because I knew her so well from her time before, it was an incredible witness and strengthening of my faith as well, to get to experience such a profound change from one day to the next in a person's life, and that has really also been a major help in my faith to get to experience that up close, because I truly believe that's a miracle.
Denmark is a Christian country in a way, but I don't think that they all, how should I put it, not everyone has the same focus on God as they do on like behavior and so on. So we want our children to know God when they grow up. And it can be very difficult to meet other children who also know God, because it's just not common in Denmark. It really isn't. So what we have focused on is to find other people who are Christian and who has Christian children, and they will be friends with ours, although they may not be Lutheran, some of them, or maybe like Catholics or Baptists and so on. But that's fine with us as long as they can have the Christian worldview.
We have tried to ascertain the possibility of making a positive alternative. We don't have any priests. We are here in rural Denmark. I'm of course a member of the Confessional Lutheran Church of Denmark. But here in our place, there are no good offers, and that means we are in a process of trying to see whether it's possible to grow what will, in the future, God willing, become a confessional Lutheran congregation.
We are living in a very sanitized world, so to speak. So what that means is that you're very safe, you're very sort of like confined in the space that you live in, and people are seeking something that's more ancient and more historical.
Where do we come from? I think it's very deep, where this inherited blood, like we want to relive what our forefathers did, and I think it's that, or what?
Yeah, I agree, because like, okay, when we were Vikings, so to speak, the Nordic countries, we were mighty, right? We conquered nations. And we had this primal instinct that men crave of like conquest and like conflicts and battle that we're missing today, because in society today we're sort of like, it's deeper than just like the surface level of like battle and conflict and that kind of stuff. I think it's like about community actually. Because when you were a Viking, you belong to a group, so to speak.
Can I say one thing? I think it's people do get the image of Vikings as being pagans, and it's not entirely true. The Vikings they became Christians, and that's the part that I think people just like to ignore. But the Vikings did become Christians, and that's I was at the Trelleborg in Denmark, where Harald Bluetooth was Christian. His Christian army was fighting against his son, the pagan Vikings, and so they reenact this battle, and it was this. I can't describe it. It's so deep. It's just, and I almost feel as a spectator of myself, like I don't exist. I only exist like because of the forefathers before me. So I am 100% them. That's why I feel this way, and it's just. That's why we do what we do. Now we know the way. You know, before we didn't know Christ. But after we knew Christ, we know the ultimate truth.
Do you see the culture becoming in some ways more Americanized with time? What does that mean?
Yes, the Danish culture has become very much more Americanized. In all my lifetime, but I imagine since the Second World War, maybe even before that, right? America is projecting a lot of cultural power outwards towards the world, and that can be felt with the Hollywood and the movies and the music. And I mean, I think that most like national-minded Danes see this as problematic, because you only have room for so much culture in your life. You only have room for so many perspectives on life and self-identity. And if you're filled up with Hollywood and Taylor Swift, well, are there really room for everything that the Danish heritage has to offer? And I would argue, just as I mentioned, that Danish people don't really have any clear grasp of like the Christian tradition or like the actual in-depth content of the Christian faith. I would say it's similar, that most Danish people don't have the same kind of understanding of their own heritage as maybe they should have. And part of that, I definitely believe, is because of this cultural impact from, especially America.
The problem is that men today are very unassertive, so to speak. So they let the wife lead the pack, and that leads to disaster. But, like we discussed before you chime in, the problem is that women today are very, especially Nordic women, are very assertive by their nature. And I think it's just how they are. If you
Maybe it's the warrior.
Yeah,
the warrior
if you read the old sagas,
yes,
the women were usually very assertive.
Very difficult, yes.
Yeah, difficult to deal with.
Historically, we've always been very difficult.
Even in scripture, yes, that's true. So what I need to do as a man, so to speak, is I need to allow her some leverage, obviously, because she's a high testosterone woman that needs to fight and lift weights. And that's what it is here in the north. Like, our women are kind of brutal.
Yeah. The Scandinavian women are very strong on average.
Yeah, and I as a man need to let her have her periods of strength. But I also need to be the leader, because I know if I fail as a leader, I'm failing my kids and I'm failing my wife. So I need to, even though it's hard, because I was raised by sort of a feminine dominant pack, so to speak, I need to overcome that and become the alpha, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Andre always has to, and he reads the Bible every day. So he's like, oh yeah, Hannah, I have to read this verse for you. And it's always about how women, how we are supposed to behave, yes, and how the man is supposed to behave. So it's something that I think a man should also read the Bible every day, just to get a reminder of how abnormal.
I'll give one tip to you. Yeah, I'm talking to you, not you. I'm talking to you. I'll give one tip to you. Matt, I'm gonna point to the camera because I'm talking to the viewers. One tip. I forgot the tip. Wait.
And I think it also goes hand in glove with what we're trying to do and what we want to do with this whole way of life, because moving to the countryside, getting land under your feet and soil in your nails and growing and living off the land also means that we want to cultivate something, grow something. And one way to grow community and grow this sense of belonging is to invite people into your home and at parties by sharing a well-brewed home beer, by sharing a nice rich meal, because this kind of fellowship that we have is also a fellowship where we want to invite people in and share with them our sense of purpose, our sense of belonging, our both spiritual but also cultural values, and to help rekindle that in them, so the great bonfire might also lit a little spark in them and they can carry that home, because we want to build something and really grow something, because that is, I think, something that is really needed in our society today, to have these close-knit communities, to have this sense of purpose.
Both the visions of Kierkegaard and Wagner would, in time, send waves through a continent that had grown complacent in its slumber. But instead of finding fulfillment, another force was growing, one far stranger, a new ruling class who said they could manage the world into harmony, without myth, without faith, without ethnic and familial bonds, and without God. For all the passion and conviction of the Romantics, the religious, and the philosophers, a new age would arise in Europe and her former colonies. Not one of personal or collective spiritual fire, but of management and control. A world led by industry men like Frederick Winslow Taylor, and mass propagandists like Edward Bernays. This was the dawn of the managerial age. While Europe's artists and philosophical prophets wrestled with the soul of Europe, engineers of society were building a new kind of world. In Scandinavia, this found its political expression in the promise of the folkhem, or people's home. A society so perfectly planned, it would render the bold spiritual struggles of Kierkegaard and the heroic imagination of Wagner obsolete. The old gods, both pagan and Christian, were simply made redundant, filed away by bureaucrats.
It is kind of like telling someone you have a cure, or that you know a cure, but they don't even acknowledge that there's a sickness.
The greatest issue facing the Christian mission in Denmark today is not hostility to Christianity, it's not atheism, it's not superstition, New Age, it's not heretical religions, but it's just this supremely dangerous and unbelievably thick amount of apathy towards Christianity. It's not that people are hostile to the gospel.
They just don't care.
They just don't care. They simply don't care. And you can share the good news with them. It doesn't move them. They are so busy or distracted that they simply don't care or want to take the time to engage with it. And I think that is quite a difficult situation to be in, because you can talk with somebody who has an opinion about anything, but if people simply couldn't care less, then it's very difficult. And I think that is the major crisis facing Danish Christianity today.
Do you know, Mikkel, that you're married to the most traditional wife ever?
Yeah, she's the best wife.
No, she is literally the every man's dream.
Yes, she's my dream.
Rich man.
Yes, I have no money, but I am very wealthy.
The money doesn't matter; it has no value.
No.
Except, well,
that's what I tell the Danish tax department, but they don't believe it.
I'm still confused why there are so many Icelanders here today. Is this some kind of Icelandic conspiracy?
We're taking over.
Yeah.
We're taking over.
It's an invasion.
So,
Go in.
you're also staying on
I literally live in the Garden of Eden. You said something like that.
Yes.
But now I'm in the Garden of Eden.